What is your Tinder horror story? It ended up being a double date with his mom and her OkCupid date. He told me that he and his mom were a package deal. I was mortified, and there was no second date. That reminds me of a story from high school, although not a dating story. Knew this kid from school. His dad was an Episcopal preacher and he and his kid were huge Star Wars fans, but never had the chance to see it on a big TV at the time. The average TV was like 27 inches and this TV was like 50. Closed bracket. Anyhow, halfway through the movie, it's nighttime and pitch black out in a rural area. The kid tells me his dad would love to see this movie on the big TV. He then tells me his dad has been waiting outside the house in his car, in the dark, the whole time. On the off chance the kid could work it into the conversation and the dad could come inside and watch the movie. Cue me waving at this car in the pitch black for this guy in the full black suit with white collar preacher to come inside and watch the rest of the movie with us, which is half over by now. My parents watching this guy walk inside in the middle of the night, looking horrified and wondering WTF is happening. He told me he's not gay, but he prefers to have sex with men and prefers to be on the bottom. I asked if he was bi, and he said no, I'm straight, I just like getting ducked in the ass. And then he asked me if he could pee in my butt cause he's always wanted to try it, but he won't top guys, so he can't find out how it feels. He's the head football coach of a private college in my state and that made it even weirder somehow. Edit. Just wanna rat that I'm a woman and not a gay man at all. Mayo. Public service announcement. It's not gay if you say no homo afterwards. I went on a Tinder date a couple months ago on a Sunday afternoon. Met up with the guy around 3. He had a really good energy and was funny and complimentary. The place we wanted to go had a long line, so we went to another restaurant on the water for a drink and appetizers. He started slamming down mates. I had 1. He had 3. They were strong. Like, I was tipsy borderline drunk off of 1. The bar had a 2 mate per person limit, but he found another bartender to get his 3rd. He got drunker and drunker and started telling me he loved me, joking at first but getting increasingly serious. As we left he asked me to marry him. I kind of laughed it off and was like, maybe we take it slow. We just met each other. He got so mad he stormed off and left me on a street corner. Then as soon as he got home, it was 5 PM, he started texting me, come over and I miss you. He was 43. WTF. I think maybe you dated my ex. I'm so sorry. Not me, but I worked as a bartender for a while and heard a lot of horror stories secondhand. This one girl who was a regular came in and told me about an awful Tinder date she had. Not sure of the specifics, but it wasn't bad enough for her to not bring him home afterward. He leaves the next morning. She brushes it off as a one night stand, and a few days later, her debit card gets declined. Odd, since she is a bartender herself at a fairly busy place in our city and is good about saving and usually flush with cash. She goes to check her debit card. Turns out there were a bunch of charges at Best Buy, Grubhub, a bunch of other stuff. Curious. She checks her credit card too. There she found a bunch of charges for streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Sling, everything. She goes to confront the guy and finds out he deleted his profile. But she remembers a friend they had in common on Facebook. She reaches out to the mutual friend to try and track him down, and it turns out he did the exact same thing to that mutual friend. Not sure if what the outcome was, but she was out for blood after a mediocre hookup turned into a serious case of identity theft. I went on a date with this guy, who I didn't really have anything in common with, but thought I'd give him a shot anyways. We met up at a bar, and he had already pounded 2 pitchers of beer, but was completely sober, at least from what I could tell. We hung out, talked, and although he seemed nice enough, I wasn't quite feeling it. I wanted to leave, but he convinced me to go to another bar to get one last drink. Seeing as it was only about 8 PM, I agreed to one more drink. We were sitting at the bar and a couple was making out next to us. He looked at me and asked what I thought people in the bar would do if he and I started making out. I knew where this was going. I tried to laugh and make some joke about no one paying attention. He then insisted that we should make it. I nervously laughed and told him that wasn't a very good idea and excused myself to the restroom. I came back to the seat and he had a shot waiting for me and insisted I drink it. No shot for him. Just me. I declined and he got really upset and said he was ready to go. At that point in the evening he had consumed 2 pitchers of beer, 4 margaritas, and 2 more pints, yet displayed no sign of being intoxicated. Nonetheless, I knew there was a lot of alcohol in his system and asked if he thought it was a good idea for him to drive. He got extremely defensive and said he was fine. We exited the bar and he took off in the opposite direction. When I got home I texted him just to make sure he was okay because had had so much to drink. His response: "I only date girls I duck on the first date." Dodged a bullet with that one. So no second dates for this guy. That's an understatement. I messaged a girl who wanted to meet up. So I go out to the coffee shop and she's not there. I ask her what's up and she totally admits to being a dude catfishing me just so he could check me out in public. And goes on a rant about what a shame it is that I'm a lesbian because he totally ducked me. I feel like the creepiest part for me was that he never once tried to get nudes or anything, which I'd at least understand the effort for. He just wanted to stare at me in public. That is alarming. Found a profile using a picture of me that was obviously ripped from my Facebook account. Come to find out it was my ex-wife trying to stir up drama and problems between my current wife and myself. A single friend of ours texted me a screenshot of it. My wife is an intelligent woman and didn't fall for it. This became a horror story for my ex, because this, among other shady things she had done, landed her with stalking charges and identity theft charges. Sucks to be stupid. There's multiple accounts on dating sites all over the internet that for some reason use my pics. I got a message on Facebook a few years ago from a girl who was irate that I would pretend to love her so much then talk about how much I hated her dead brother. Her dead brother was actually an acquaintance of mine. Anyway, I was able to track that particular user to be someone I did know in high school, but beyond that IDK. Even to this day I get messages from angry women. Not me, my dad. Not Tinder either. It was Match.com. My dad had been on Match for about 3 months with some success. As a tall Australian man, was decent looking, so he had some interest. One weekend he got sent his first nude which he thought had strange, but brushed it off. Later that week he got 6 more nudes from the same woman. Before he blocked her, he decided that he would open them just for kicks. 5 of the pictures are just straight up vag shots, which he said were incredibly unappealing and had terrible lighting. The 6th picture, however, was something different. The woman was standing in her bra in front of mirror, puss out, winking, with a bunch of herbs shoved in her bra. Basil, parsley, thyme, all that good stuff. The caption on the picture was spice rack. She was swiftly blocked after my dad stopped laughing long enough to find the block button. Has your dad ever recovered from being out dad joked by a stranger on a dating site? Well, he did insult someone's tomato garden the other day. A woman sent him a photo of her tomato plant and he messaged her back saying that tomato looks like it has an STD. Shitty tomato disease. He was howling on the couch for a while after that. She smoked some meth. Her dogs ate my wallet. Edit. Thanks for the gold, stranger. Where do I redeem it for prizes? And do they have wallets? Sounds like the beginning of a country song. Edit. Thanks for the award there. I matched with a girl and sent a lot of messages. Later that night we talked on the phone and the conversation was going really well, so I asked to go out the next night. She agreed and then 5 minutes later she tells me that needs to tell me something. She tells me that she's permanently in a wheelchair. So am I either an a-hole if I back out now, or an a-hole if I lead her on? I figure why not? It's just a date, and it could be a fun time still. We talk more that night and go to bed. The next morning she calls me early and tells me she's doing something crazy. She won't tell me what, but she said she'll show me later. A few hours goes by and she calls me back and tells me she's going to send me a pic of what she did. I check my messages and I see a picture of her wrist with my name now tattooed on it. We end the call and I immediately tell my friends about this crazy girl. Later that night I'm driving to her place cause I figure She can be committed enough to tattoo my name on her. I should be committed enough to go on this date. Plus I have to know it's real. I'm almost at her place and I realize that my car may not accommodate her wheelchair, and I know she drives. So I ask if she can drive us. I'm walking in the parking lot and she drives up and I get in the car. Now I had figured she had a handicapped enabled car. Nope. Turns out she just uses 2 crutches to drive. One on the gas and one on the brake. I don't like this as we're driving on the Southern California freeways and traffic. We go eat and she gets a phone call from her daughter. Turns out she left her 10 years old daughter at home alone and she's scared. I'm like, hey, we can go. But she's like, no, it's okay, I gave her something to make her sleep, she'll be asleep soon. So we finish up and I was gonna take her to see a movie. But the kid thing was too much, so we head home, and my fingers are already crossed that we make it when she turns to me while driving and says, wow, I'm kinda drunk. In my head I'm like, 1 drink is all you had. But I ask if I can drive and she says no, she's gonna get in the fast lane and uses her crutch to hit the gas. I say my last prayers, but we made it back to her place. So I wheeled her back to her door, said goodbye and left. Tattoo was real though. What the hell? This is the story that made me comment. But do you guys have no survivor instinct? I've been waiting for the right thread for this. After a movie date with a guy I met on Tinder, we came back to my place. We'll call him Jude. I told him we could hang for a bit, but I have work in the morning, so I would need to go to sleep soon. Jude said that was fine, but he was hungry and he was going to order food. Okay, sure. Jude orders 2 large subs from Potbelly and a milkshake. Downs it. No judgment. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. Younger, still growing. By all means. I didn't think anything of it until later. We end up messing around a bit and fall asleep in bed. I wake up to my front door opening and closing several times over a 5-minute period. My dogs are going nuts. And it's 1 AM. What the heck is this guy doing? I open the door to my room. That opens up to the rest of my apartment, and my bathroom is to the left, where the light is on and the door is wide open. I walk around the corner to make eye contact with Jude, who is in a squatting position over my toilet, with a stick, poking around in murky brown poop water that is millimeters from overflowing onto my bathroom floor. Horrified, he yells, "Stop looking at me. Go back to bed. I have it under control." I'm still waking up trying to understand what I'm seeing and what's going on. And I just start nervous laughing. I don't know what else to do. He yells, "Why don't you have a plunger?" And I said I don't know, I never needed one until now. He tells me to go back to bed, he has it under control. I'm so disturbed, tired, can't process what's happening, and have work in the morning. I go back to bed. I remember hearing him peek in my room a bit later and heard. I fixed it, and then heard him leave, and my door closed behind him. The next morning, I hesitantly approach my toilet to find the water is down. But there is something poking out from the bottom of the toilet, like he didn't get it all. Upon further inspection, what I was seeing was the tip of a stick, some gloves, towels and BBQ tongues. Later I pulled out approximately 3 foot of stick from my toilet that had broke off, followed by several other stick fragments. Jude had broke several sticks. I heard my door open and close so much because he was going outside to look for a stick. One would break, he'd go get another. Jude had left drippy poop water stains all over my bathroom floor. He also left my apartment so fast that he left his underwear and undershirt and socks. After work that day, I went straight to the store and bought a plunger. Lesson learned. TLDR, guy from Tinder ate a bunch right before bed. Took a huge poop while I was asleep. Woke up to him trying to plunge the toilet with a stick he found outside. I feel bad for this guy. That sounds so embarrassing. Every bathroom needs a plunger. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.